I want to remind you guys that you can get free plays every day, and it is really one of the simpler procedures out there. You don't even, all you need to do is text one or two keywords, one for Jim and one for me, and you get free plays. For my free play every day via text message. So you don't have to talk to anybody. There's nothing to, it's simple. It just ends up on your cell phone. Here's Dave's free play. Just text Kokin, C-O-K-I-N, to 313131. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Jim, same story with you.
Absolutely. Just text winner, WINNER, to 313131, and each and every day I'll send you a free play right to your cell phone. That's winner, WINNER, to 313131.
Well, let's talk about the bubble teams. This is really where the fun is at this time of year, trying to determine who's in and who's out, who needs to win and who better avoid losing. Joe Lunardi at ESPN is, I think, considered the foremost guru on this. So, you know, I'm not going to tell you this is my stuff. It's his. But we can talk about the teams and determine whether we think they're going to get in, whether they're not, whether it's a good idea to follow them, whether it's not. So here's his on the bubble stuff. Last four buys, these are teams that are in. But, you know, something could go wrong for him. He's got Pittsburgh, Stanford, Nebraska, and Xavier. Nebraska in particular is a great story because Tim Miles has taken them from out of nowhere. And you just saw them win a game on Sunday. I mean, I guess if you maybe go back far enough, maybe you can find a bigger win. But that win by Nebraska over, I'm blanking out who they beat on Sunday. Wisconsin. There you go, Wisconsin. Yeah. That was an unbelievable win for that team. Jim, they have to be careful about letting down off that game going into the Big Ten tournament. I mean, they were so pumped up for that, and they accomplished their objective. It kind of looks like they got in the tournament. Boy, I mean, that's a tough spot to rebound from, and they're not going to be at home for the conference tournament. So that's kind of one of the situations that I look to maybe. I'm not locking this in. I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to play against Nebraska, but I don't think I'll be on them. Let's put it that way.
You know, Dave, Nebraska has made me some money. I had Nebraska as a pretty good play against Wisconsin the other day. A couple reasons. First of all, they had played at home a couple times, and they had gotten the money, especially in an underdog role. They're going to arguably be, I don't have the matchup or the lines in front of me right now, but they're going to probably be an underdog in their first game or second game, both games if they make a second game, in the tournament. So as an underdog, and Miles is using that to motivate his team, we have to keep going in this underdog role, which is a quote that he had, and nobody's giving them any respect. Well, they're capable. I mean, when they play their game, they're very capable. I didn't expect Wisconsin to be sky high for that game on Sunday. They already know where they're at.
Yeah.
And they're in a lot of teams, when that last game or last couple games before they get into the conference tournament, you see a lot of crazy decisions, and a lot of that comes from a lack of motivation. And I expected that from Wisconsin. I think they played actually a little bit better than I expect them to, but Nebraska was the winner. I think that's going to continue for Nebraska. I think they're going to be a great underdog play early.
John, let me get your thoughts on one of these last four in teams from Lunardi. He's got St. Joe's as a last four in team right now. This is interesting to me because St. Joe's just lost they lost a bad game to LaSalle to end the regular season, a rivalry game. Jim's a Philly guy. He knows how those big five rivalries work. And, you know, LaSalle's had a bad year, but I'm sure for them beating St. Joe's was terrific. So St. Joe's has got pressure on them now going into the Atlantic 10 tournament. Do you like that? This team, I mean, they've got to win a game, at least one in this tournament, now that they lost to LaSalle. Do you like that with a team going in, or is that a red flag?
I think it's good, especially when you look at the last month. How did they play with that pressure? Because they know they know the score on their record over the last few weeks. And here's what we see with St. Joe's over the last few weeks. They're playing very well. 6-2 straight up, 5-3 ATS run coming into the tourney. They already have a win over VCU, 69-62. They were underdog at St. Bonnie's, got the win straight up, very impressive 8th. And when I look at the overall team as far as stats, you can't argue with the kind of balance and offensive potency that they have. This team is 37th in the nation in shooting, over 47% as a team. That rounds out to 6th in the A10 in scoring, and they're tops in the conference at 48%. And their defense is no slouch either. They're 4th in points allowed. So the only weak spot I have with them, they're actually a senior-laden team, which is always an extra plus this time of the year. The only weak spot, though, is free throw shooting. They're pretty bad at 64%. Yeah. If the game is close, that could kill them. But I like their track record the last month, and I think with the seniors, they can certainly stand up to the pressure.
On the first 4 out list, Lunardi has both St. John's and Providence. Well, one of them's in real trouble then, because they're playing each other in the first round of the Big East tournament. So we can assume that one of those is going to get in and the other one's going to be dead. Minnesota's on the list. I'll talk about one team here, and that's California as a first 4 out. I think Montgomery is probably doing the worst coaching job of his life with this team. This guy's a great college coach. You know, tremendous success at Stanford. And, you know, he did well with California last year. Knocked UNLV out of the tournament last year, if you recall. This team, for some reason, just hasn't come together. And I've watched a few of their games. They're just a team that just seems devoid of any real chemistry on the court. I don't want to blame that on the coach, because ultimately it's the players who have to go out there and perform. And Montgomery knows what he's doing, but boy, he's just not gotten this California team to respond. So even though that's a first 4 out team, I don't really have hopes of them or expectations of them doing very well in the Pac-12 tournament that we're going to see here in Las Vegas. To me, that can be looked upon as an incentive for a team being a first 4 out. They know where they are. Okay, the players look at this stuff. And that should be an incentive for them, but I'm just not sure that they're playing well enough together for it to matter. Jim, Minnesota's on this list as well. Richard Pitino has done, I think he's done a really good job in his first year as head coach of the Golden Gophers. But he's up against some real experienced coaches who've been through this a million times before in the Big Ten tournament. That's got to be a tough assignment. How much do you weigh tournament experience as far as the coaching goes?
Tremendous experience, because unless you have some assistants that you can lean on to give you some, of course he has his father, so there's he can get a lot of help there. I really don't think Minnesota's going to go anywhere. They started off 13-3. They're 19-12. Obviously, if you add that up to 6-9 since then, so they're just on a negative run. I don't think they're going anywhere in this tournament at all.
And on the next 4 out list, and these are teams that are going to have to do some damage in their tournaments. Southern Mississippi, probably going to have to win their conference tournament. I don't know if they can get in without that. Florida State has kind of limped down the stretch. Let's talk about the other 2 teams on this list. Missouri is on the next 4 out. I think they're just out. Frank Haith is not getting the scary thing about Missouri, and I know that if you've watched this team play, particularly away from home, you probably have the same impression. They don't give a damn. This is one of the laziest teams I've ever seen. They just don't play hard. I saw them play at Georgia, and I actually had Missouri in that game. They got completely run out of the building by a team that's not very good offensively. I learned my lesson and had a strong play in Tennessee last Saturday against Missouri. And you talk about getting in the rocking chair and coasting to a victory. That was about as easy as it gets. Well, none of these SEC games, these tournament games, are in Missouri. So they're all road games. I don't think that team's got a chance. Here's one we can talk about. I don't know what to make of this team. They're on alternating nights. They can be very good or really bad. And that's the Georgetown Hoyas. Very inconsistent. So do you just stay away from a team like that going into the tournament because you never know which Hoyas are going to show up? Or is it a situation where you try and find the right matchup?
I thought I had a great matchup with them the other night when Villanova had clinched the regular season championship, and Georgetown was coming in there with everything to gain by getting a marquee victory over one of the top seeds, and obviously Villanova is supposed to be a top seed, a 1 seed, and they just absolutely crapped the bed. I mean, they had 10 turnovers in the first half, 18 for the game. They looked like crap. They played like crap, and bottom line, that's what they did to my bankroll in that game. But this is a team, they're inconsistent, and when a team plays like that, it's a very simple thing. Very simple. It comes down on the coach. There's one guy, you're talking about 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. They are not going to tell me what to do and how to. If they're not going to play my style and play my game, and they're not going to play. They're going to sit on the end of the bench, and they're going to watch the entire year. Because I'm the coach. It's my job is on the line. They're going to either play my game or they're sitting on the bench. It's the coach. If the coach can't coach, they're not going to play right. And he cannot coach on a consistent basis. You got the same thing you talked about California. Yeah, years ago, Montgomery had a great job, but he's not doing it this year. It comes down on the coach. You're not dealing with, like you deal with in the pros, guys that are making $15 million a year and they won't listen to anybody anyway. These are kids. If they're not going to listen to you, nobody's going to listen to you. So, I mean, and they want to play. It's a privilege to be on a team. It's a privilege to have a scholarship. It's a privilege to be there. If they're not going to play, they got to sit. It's the coach. Bottom line.